Good afternoon. Greetings from California. I'm doing this recording in my new home, and you can see by the background that it doesn't have all those books like the old ones did in the past. That's because those books are no longer in my possession. I donated them to the charter school. Anyway, this is the opening for Module 4, and I really need there's a lot of things I need to tell you before you get into the actual module. So I know that this is a little bit different way of getting into it. You don't get to see the picture, you just get to click on the link. But I can't seem to get the video up there the way I had in the past. We're going to begin the actual study of the diversity class now. Excuse me, we're going to begin that with culture by looking at your own culture and the cultures of the world. It's a very important part of our world today, and the various cultures that make up the world are getting more and more diverse as we move along. The first thing, excuse me, I would suggest that you would do would be to print out the assignment checklist for Module 4. I'm going to be referring to that in this talk that I'm giving, and you can follow along. We're going to have quite a set of assignments this time. You've been lulled into thinking this is going to be a snap. And this one is probably the heaviest loaded, excuse me, heaviest loaded module of the entire program. Maybe not completely, 11's up there too. But this one has a lot of assignments in it. One of them will not be due until the end of September, so you can take your time on that one. The objectives for this module include identifying characteristics and practices, beliefs, and history of diverse cultural groups, describing how culture can exert influence on the educational system, and boy does it sometimes, noticing the diversity in culture that is around us and our reaction to those diverse populations, examining our values and beliefs about other cultures to assess our level of bias. These objectives will all be covered in this particular process, not only in this lesson, but also in the entire class. You need to think about doing these things when you're doing your observations as well, because there are some teachers who just don't want to be bothered meeting the needs of some of these kids. So it's something to be looking out for. I think that's probably a minority, but it's still something that we need to think about. And when you're doing your observations, look for that diverse school, because it's interesting to see how this all works together. I've added a cultural project into this particular module. In the past, students had said to me, gee, I wish I could explore a culture. I wish I knew more about this culture or that culture. And so last semester I set up a field study, or a kind of I guess you would call it a field study, using a cultural project. And I had several students that took advantage of that and got extra credit actually for it. But for you, it's not going to be extra credit, but it will be a lot of points that you will gain toward your final grade. It's not, as I said, it's not going to be due until the end of September. I think something like the 28th or 29th. Same time your observations will be due. So, but you've got at least 4 weeks to be able to work on this. It's all laid out for you, and I've even put in a previous presentation that one of my students from last semester did as a model. And there are a list of the different cultures within this lesson, and you can pick or choose which one you want to do. However, in order to not overload and have so many people pick Spanish, or not Spanish, but Mexican or Puerto Rican, or I don't know what other ones, Asian, I guess, which one of the Asian countries, there are several of them there, I am going to have you let me know which country you're choosing, and then I will put that name on a list, and nobody else will be able to choose it. You'll be able to see the list with the names there, and you won't be able to choose that particular one. That way we can explore a lot of different cultures. And I'm kind of doing that same thing with the movie you're going to watch in this particular module. There are, I'm getting ahead of myself here, so just hold that thought for a moment. I will also have a rubric set up for your final report so that you can see the things you need to include. The actual assignments for Module 4, I'm putting this up early so that you can get started on it. There are dates, and because there are many different assignments, the dates are pretty close together. But know that the final date is September 7th. That's when everything needs to be done. Some people like that pacing, some people don't. They want to wait. But I'm suggesting you not wait to the last minute because there's a lot of things that need to be completed, and one of them is watching that full-length movie. So your first assignment is, of course, the prior knowledge that you have. Last time you gave your definition of what you thought diversity is. Now this time I want you to define culture. And how do we get culture? Where does it come from? And that type of thing. We're going to really get into our cultures and culture as a general topic this time. That's the assignment number 1. Assignment number 2 is to introduce yourself again, but from your cultural background. You'll see my example there because I am of a German background, and so that's where I want you to come from. What's your cultural background? I've already had some people say I don't know much about my cultural background, but think about it in the terms. Look at my module and think about it, how you can get your culture and drag it out from that particular type of information. That one is due by September 4th, and the previous one was due by September 3rd. There are several videos in there that describe some things that are happening in our culture today. And they have to do somewhat to the census and some things that we can look forward to as culture begins to shift. I want you to watch those movies, and then you're going to make some kind of discussion or some kind of comments about those movies and what you thought. They're going in discussion boards, so anything on a discussion board needs to have you respond to a couple other people. One of the other things that's in the tools, which you'll find under the topic of content area included, are the tools. And in that, you're going to see a rubric for how you actually need to respond to other people. It's set up to look like this, and it will tell you how to go ahead and respond. The point values may not be the same, but something that says, I agree with you entirely or completely or whatever, is not going to get the full 10 points. So I just want you to know that it needs to be an objective or even subjective this time, but it needs to be a quality type of a response. Let's see, that's number 3. Number 4 is the movie discussion. And you're going to be using the KWL format. There is a graphic organizer for the KWL in that same kind of tools thing. And there's also an example of a response that I made for a movie, Remember the Titans. And you'll find that Remember the Titans is not on the list because I've already reviewed that for you. But you take the information that you put into the KWL, what do I know, what do I want to learn, and then what did I learn? And you do it prior to your movie, and then after you've seen the movie, when you put that into a summary format, and that will look something like what my module has, but you're making notes with the graphic organizer. There is a movie list, and it is not inclusive. There are many other movies out there that have cultural implications, and if you would like to view one of the other ones, feel free, but you need to contact me. I am also doing it this way. There is one called Schindler's List, and I've already had a student do some research, and she said, could I watch that movie? Because apparently she looked up and saw that I was going to have us watching movies. I do not supply the movies. I cannot get that many copyright approvals to be able to do that. So you'll need to go to Netflix. The college library has a good variety of DVDs there, videos there. The public libraries have a lot. Um, Redbox, all those are good sources for you to get some of these things. And if you've already seen a movie, I prefer you to watch it again because you're watching it from a different perspective. The first time we watch the movies, we watch it just as pure enjoyment. Now I want you to really look at one and observe it from diversity. It makes a whole difference, and you'll never watch a movie the same way again, unfortunately. So you're going to do that, watching that movie. Uh, Once again, you're going to sign your name. You're going to let me know which movie you want to watch because I don't want to have it like I have had in the past. 6 people watch The Blind Side, 6 people watch The Help, 6 people watch something else, and we've reviewed 3 different cultures, maybe. So I want you to choose your movie and sign up for it, and then I will put that on a list so that no one else will be able to review that movie. So remember to check that particular list. As I mentioned about Schindler's List, one student already said that she was interested in that, so I have already put her name on Schindler's List. That's from one of the classes. The other class doesn't have that one done, so I'm not sure which class I'm talking about right now. That will be due on September the 6th. Excuse me, September the 7th. The next new thing we have in this particular module are the case studies. I hope they haven't changed the textbook, but I haven't heard for sure. But we aren't taking the chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, in order. What we're doing is the topics. So our topics this time happen to be in, I believe, chapter 2. And of course, they're topics number 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Let's all make up the rules for our classroom. A lesson on cultural celebration of Thanksgiving. A teacher's answer to, will I ever use this? Encountering art that contains stereotypes. And the last one, presidents, leaders, and cultures. You can, and I think I mentioned in the syllabus that you can do more than one of those, and the second one would be for extra credit. There is a format to follow because they each have the scenario, maybe 2 pages long in the scenario, sometimes not all that long. They have questions embedded at the end. You'll answer each of the questions, and then you'll reflect to somebody else's case study. It would be nice here, too, if we had all case studies covered. But since there are only 5, that would mean 4 on each one. But I know that I have given you the free choice. I would like you to respond to one that you didn't read, though, or didn't do your report on. And that way you'll get to see. There are no right answers to these particular questions, but it comes from your perspective and what would you do. It gives you an idea to think a little bit outside the box and to see some realistic situations that could possibly take place within a classroom. Those case studies will be due on the last day, September 8th. And then, of course, we have the final reflection and due on that day. And this is probably the last module that you have on, I see a typo in there that I need to correct. The last module that you'll have where you'll do any feedback on. And I've put the cultural information into a folder within the link on, on Angel. I'm sorry, I don't know what is causing this with my voice. Your first set of observations will be due on September 29th, and Module 5 will open on September 7th. Unless I get it done earlier, I can I have enough people that are finished that I think it would warrant me opening it a little bit earlier. So good luck. I know you may have questions, but feel free to email me your questions. That's always an option that you have. So enjoy, and I think you'll enjoy learning more about culture.